We live in a gated community. At 11:30 a.m., our alarm system was torn out of the wall. Our neighbor heard a loud boom. Didn't think much of it because they're kind of hermit people. Our front door was shattered off the hinges. Our front door, secondly, that was unlocked. We live in a gated community. We have 5 children. We got people coming and going all day. Usually we don't lock the door till the end of the day. Now we do. Now we've increased security quite a bit. Our front door, Erica, and to give the history of that whole day, it was September the 11th, 2009. I was running late that morning. I was in my Viper, and that's how I know the door was locked, because I never kept a house key on that keychain. I was running late, had to go get a haircut. Went and got a haircut, came here, grabbed my wife, grabbed our employees. We closed the dealership down except for one employee for a phone watch because it was 9/11, and we went to the 9/11 ceremony downtown. While we were at that ceremony, Darren White praised me for what I'd done in Iraq in the year previous, or 2 years, whatever it was, previous. And, you know, that after 9/11 I had reactivated, blah, 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 yak, yak, yak.
Now, how did he praise you? Was it personally?
Oh, it was very publicly. While he was.
Did he say my friend or?
Yeah, my friend Shawn Bryan was his exact words, which I know has surfaced on many things. There's plenty of videotape of that day. Plenty of videotape. So we left from there and we went to Capo's to eat. And I thought it was kind of odd because Joe Hudson showed up. Darren was there. It was me, Erica, Darren, some of our employees, some other cops. Joe Hudson showed up, and because TJ Wilhelm was there, Joe pulled me off to the side and said, "I'm not going to eat with that piece of shit sitting at the table." So he left. We stayed there talking, eating, catching up, and my wife left to go get our sons from school. She pulled into her neighborhood, pulled up, and the front door basically was gone. It was dangling off its hinges. She called me immediately crying. I had just pulled up back to the dealership. I called Darren immediately and said, "Our house just got robbed." He said, "I'm on my way." So Darren and TJ fly over there. As I come around the corner, Darren pulls in right behind me. In front of our house is a small dirt road about as long as my office, maybe twice as long, that comes up and goes into our driveway. One of the first distinguishing things I noticed, but I didn't think anything of it, was there were skid marks sliding up to our driveway. And I just, mental note, but I didn't think anything of it. Darren and I went in the house and we swept the house.
And TJ was with Darren?
TJ's waddling right behind him. And went in the house. I drew my weapon, Darren drew his. We swept the house because we were there before anybody else was. Then a female 34 showed up, and Darren was outside, and when Darren walked back in, it went from a regular burglary call to she called everybody and their dogs because car 1 was there. And so several cops showed up. Joe Hudson showed up. You know, Darren pulled me off to the side when we walked in the house, and he says, "Dude, something's not right. This makes no sense." Our neighborhood, there's never been a burglary ever in the history of that neighborhood. For somebody to come in there, our neighbors to the north, to the south, and to the west were all 3 home. Come in there in broad daylight. Daytime burglars don't break down unlocked doors. They go in as quiet as they can. Somebody in a hurry leaves skid marks and shatters an unlocked door. You can't kick a door like that was done. That door wasn't kicked down. They used something else on that door. Every 34 that's been to our house since then have all said the same. Not only was the door itself shattered off the hinges, the whole entire case, the wall cracked all the way down. Our inset wall sits about this far from the door. Wall cracked all the way down and all the way up to the first set of windows, literally shattering the inside plaster of the walls. As we get inside, there's video games missing, there's jewelry missing, there's some cash missing. And it led me to believe it was kids right off the bat because none of my guns were gone. I mean, it made no sense. There was weapons out in the open. that were still out in the open. There's vases, paintings, there's things inside our house that are actually worth money. The video games, the jewelry, stuff like that can be replaced. And the funny thing about the jewelry was only certain things were taken. There was much more jewelry out in the open. A regular thief, in my opinion, would have taken all of it.
They would have cleaned you out.
They cleaned us out. They took a small TV out of our bedroom, but left the big screen up on the wall. You know, there was just little things there. It just didn't seem right. My wife goes upstairs to inventory the top. No video games upstairs in the kids' room were taken. No jewelry, nothing was taken from upstairs. But everything had been ransacked. All of my kids' sports bags, we have a house full of athletes. All of their duffel bags, all their football bags, all that shit had been dumped out on the floor. Nothing taken. And I figured, you know, they were just looking. Of course, now, over time, we've talked to other cops out there who have said, dude, they were looking for bags of money or dope, which makes total sense. Why did they not steal anything from upstairs, but yet took the time to go through each bedroom, pull bags out from under the beds, and dump them out on the floor? So we kind of take an inventory. TJ was still working for the Journal at the time, so TJ decides to write an article on how I'm at a 9/11 ceremony, being honored for what I did in Iraq, and my house in a gated community is being burglarized simultaneously. And that's where Darren started the story. As Darren found out, Ryan Buckner was running surveillance of us that morning. Darren had seen the actual surveillance reports when he was in Ray Schultz's office, and they got in a big pissing contest because Buckner's dumbass had put on there that I drive a black Escalade. At the time, we didn't have a black Escalade, we had a black Denali. That black Denali has a Purple Heart license plate. The back window had an EGA about the size, it's actually almost the same size as that one. Huge, stenciled into the glass. So Darren and Buckner was trying to say that a black Escalade had been used in home burglaries. And Darren's like, wait a minute, you think that the Bryans, you know, business owners, charity board members, all these things are running fucking burglaries? And he's like, yeah, you know, they have a black Escalade. And that's when Darren got in the pissing contest and said, no, they don't. They have a black Denali. There's a huge difference between the two vehicles. And you know this, whenever you're observing a vehicle, you look for distinguishing marks. An 18-inch Eagle Globe and anchor on the back window stenciled into a vehicle with a Purple Heart license plate, that's going to stand out more than the fucking Escalade owner. And that was Darren's argument to him that they had the wrong vehicle. And how Darren got that vehicle was because in Buckner's report, he had put that my black Escalade picked me up from the 9/11 ceremony. Exactly. So when we're out there on the curb, it's me, I think some employees, my wife. One of my employees was pulling the Suburban around to get us. We were talking to Carrie Brandenburg, and a few other people were standing there. Carrie's going across the street, my Suburban picks us up. Well, this is the first official surveillance that we've heard of. And of course they tracked us all the way to Capos, and then there was no surveillance the rest of it. But yet Ryan Buckner, in Brad's trial, testified that on September the 11th of 2009, he was at a barbecue where other cops were present, and conveniently they started talking about this burglary.